That's why we're facing such an opposition from the European.
What is the population of last year?
146 million.
My family brought this.
Yeah, what is it? Remember when you were in Uganda?
It's been a while. It's been a very long time.
You get back.
Where is our comrade Ugarama? But he's coming.
State Minister of Higher Education of Uganda, who visited Cuba this year, Honorable Ambassador, High Commissioners, parliamentarians, all Ugandan friends, good evening again. Once again, we are here to celebrate the historical friendship and partnership between Uganda and Cuba. On May 9, 1974, the governments of Uganda and Cuba established the diplomatic relation. That's why we have been celebrating this year 50th anniversary of our excellent diplomatic alliance, and also the Cuba Embarada University project is celebrating 35 years. Before to give to the floor to the Honorable Okello, we like to recognize that the last year the government of Uganda reopening the embassy in Havana as an important step the country carry out. But Honorable Vice President of Uganda and Health Parliamentary Committee also visited Cuba. In the area of the political cooperation, is also worth highlighting the constitution of the Parliamentary Friendship Group, the strengthening of the relation between the ruling party, and the communication action between youth and students organizations of the both countries. We should also stand out the development of the National Meeting of Solidarity with Cuba in January of this year. From November 22 to date, more than 11 cooperation agreements have been signed, in terms of counter-trade agreement being implemented, and the most important mechanism to push the economy and trade bilateral cooperation. It was established a mechanism of the political consultation between the both foreign ministries. Both science ministries decide to promote relations of science, technology, and innovation, and we are already working today in bilateral projects on the biotechnology area. In addition, we signed the MOU in terms of technical and vocational education between Chamber of Commerce, between Olympic Committee, and between 4 Cuban higher education institutions with Ugandan Christian University and Ugandan Management Institute. But it has been just the beginning. Now our challenge are to expand our areas of bilateral collaboration, to finish the agreement under negotiation, and to ensure the full implementation of the already signed agreement, mainly to push the relation in terms of economy and trade, biotechnology, education, and sport. Allow me to thank to all of you your hospitality and support during our journey here in Uganda, and also to say officially goodbye today from one of the most beautiful Kampala views. Thank you again for being here. Our best wishes to all of you, your family, Ugandan people, and Uganda government in 2025. Also, our best wishes to the friendship between Uganda and Cuba. Thank you. It's my pleasure to invite to Honorable Orien Okello to address.
Your Excellency, the Ambassador of the Republic of Cuba to Uganda, and your husband, who is here with us, honorable ministers present, your Excellencies, ambassadors and high commissioners, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is with immense pride and profound gratitude that I join you today to celebrate the momentous milestone in our shared history, the 50th anniversary of the diplomatic relationship between the Republic of Uganda and the Republic of Cuba. On behalf of His Excellency the President of Uganda, the government and the people of Uganda, I extend warm greetings to the Cuban brothers and sisters and heartfelt appreciations for the enduring friendship that has blossomed between our two nations over the past 6 decades. Today we reflect on a relationship founded on shared values of mutual respect, solidarity, and a commitment to global equity and justice. From the establishment of our diplomatic ties in 1963, our relationship has grown in strength and scope, characterized by unwavering support for one another in addressing the challenges faced by our nation and advancing the aspiration of our people. Uganda and Cuba have worked hand in hand through some of the most critical moments in our respective histories. In times of struggle and triumph, Cuba has stood as a reliable partner to Uganda and the African continent at large. We recall the deep gratitude, the role played by Cuba in supporting African liberation movements, a legacy entrenched in the annals of history as a tender testament of Cubans' commitment to the ideals of freedom and justice. In Uganda, Cuba's contribution to healthcare and education remains unparalleled. Cuban doctors, educators, experts have not only shared their knowledge and skills, but have also inspired many communities with their dedication and humanity. Through initiatives such as training of Ugandan medical professionals, in in Cuban institutions, our partnership has directly improved the lives of our citizens and strengthened our capacity to meet critical development goals. Cuba has continuously offered a number of scholarships to Uganda, and many Ugandans have studied in Cuba universities and training institutions, especially in the field of science. The contribution of Cuba in the establishment of Mbara University of Science and Technology was a milestone in our relationship. Distinguished guests, as we mark the 50th anniversary of this remarkable relationship, it is imperative that we also look to the future with renewed determination. The challenges of our times, climate change, global health crisis, and the need for sustainable development demand closer collaboration and innovative solutions. Uganda remains committed to deepening our bilateral cooperation with Cuba, especially in key areas such as health, education, agriculture, science, and technology. We also stand united in our call for fairer global order, one that upholds the principles of multilateralism and protects the sovereignty and dignity of all nations regardless of size or economic might. In this respect, Uganda at a sovereign level and also as chair of the non-aligned movement renews its call for the immediate and conditional end to the unilateral sanctions and embargoes that has been unjustifiably imposed on Cuba without due consideration to the Cuban sovereignty, rights, and integrity. Our nations share a belief in the power of international solidarity and the importance of partnership that prioritizes the welfare of the people over pursuit of narrow interests. This ethos will guide us as we work together to endless shared challenges and seize new opportunities for the betterment of our societies. The two countries have supported each other's position at the international fora through non-aligned movement, the G77, the United Nations, in order to defend and protect their strategic political, economic interests and partnerships. Let me convey to the Ugandans, allow me to convey Uganda's heartfelt gratitude to the government and the people of Cuba for their unwavering friendship and partnership. The ties that bind our nations are not just diplomatic, but deeply rooted in the values and aspirations of our peoples. To our Cuban brothers and sisters, I say thank you for your unwavering friendship and solidarity. Together we'll continue building the bright future for our nation. Together we'll continue walking the march forward to the unending revolution. Let me propose a toast. Thank you. May I propose a toast and ask you to raise your glasses to the 50 years of Cuban-Uganda relations, to the future filled with hope, progress, and prosperity for our two great nations, to the leadership of Cuba, to the leadership of Uganda. Long live Ugandan-Cuban friendship. Long live international solidarity. Long live the revolution. Thank you. Permit me now just to say one or two things. Outside the official, you know Tania is, or she might have surprised you. You know Tania is leaving. You should say, You know Tania is leaving, and it's at these moments that being a diplomat, you hate being a diplomat. Because One of the things that I was told when I first became a diplomat many years ago, very, very many years ago, was that it is very dangerous to become close friendship with these diplomats. They told me many reasons. Amongst them, they told me that there are some diplomats, not all, but there are some diplomats who are spies and they're trying to dig your mind, get information from you. So don't you are too close, they might, when you go to visit them, they might give you a bit of, a drink, and you might release some statements. So don't be too close to them. But with people like Tania, really, how can you avoid being a friend to Tania? Even if I came here and I drank Havana, what do you call it, Havana what? Huh? Havana Club. Rum. Even if I think 10 bottles of rum, or 5 bottles, what will Tania? Tania will just also join me in the party. Tania has been here, I think the Cuban government has been unfair to Tania. She's been here very briefly, and we have not really enjoyed everything of Tania. But she has to leave, because that's the nature of her work. It's very sad that she's leaving, but she deserves to leave anyway, because I'm being told she's going to higher positions. It's good, very good for her personally. But as a revolutionary, you don't complain. We call this deployment. Whether they put you up, they put you down, they put you across, we don't complain about it. We don't call it demotion, don't call it promotion, we call it deployment. As a revolutionary, you're deployed to take an assignment, and you take assignment without complaining. So she's just being deployed by her government to a new assignment. And I want to thank her for the friendship, for the hard work she worked with her husband, who is around, very supportive husband, who is around, and is a friend of us as well. He's also a friend of ours. And we wish them all the very best in their new assignment and home. I'm sure we'll be in touch with them. There is no other country. I've been in this job for almost 24 years, I think. There's no other country that has kept in touch all ambassadors who have left Uganda. There's no other country apart from Cuba which every ambassador leaves have kept in touch with me up to now. And they always send me, now with the modern whatever it is, they always send me messages and so on and so forth. I'm sure we'll be keeping in touch with Tania for many years to come, with her husband as well. Will be many years to come. But I also want to thank, on a very serious note, I want to thank the Cuban people for their friendship for Uganda and Africa. For those of us who grew up fighting for the struggle, for the freedom, for the independence of other African countries, we know what it is to be in a struggle. For those who are still young, who are in the 20s, 30s, they don't know what this means. But for me, I'm well over 60 now. And I spent a good portion of my life, very good portion of my life, over almost 20 years in my life, advocating for freedoms, independence of the frontline countries. When I was young, as 11, I was already demonstrating in front of the American embassy, the British embassy, and these Yankee and Western countries for the freedom of Southern Africa, Namibia, Zimbabwe, Angola. And every Friday, faithfully, every Friday when I was in Tanzania, I'd be in the front of one of the embassies, condemning apartheid, injustice, the human rights abuse of our brothers in Africa, in Southern Africa. I was there, and I did it. I was with friends, many friends, in Tanzania. So the spirit of revolution, naturally, the injustice being done to our people in Zimbabwe, the injustice being done in Mozambique, in Zimbabwe, and so on and so forth, it is part and parcel of some of us, and you know what it means to be on the other side. Having been a refugee myself in Tanzania, at the same time, my father was fighting to remove Idi Amin from Uganda, who was killing and Ugandans in droves. So I had in my house, here was my father planning how to overthrow and remove Idi Amin from government, and here was this young man every day demonstrating and condemning and being lectured at school about the need for us to free our brothers and sisters in Southern Africa. That's where Cuba came into the picture. One of the countries that stood with us through thick and thin, through this revolution, was Cuba. They had nothing. When my father went to the Cuban embassy for seek assistance, he came back and said, I went to that embassy, they're supporting us, but I'm confused about that embassy. Because I found only two people in that mission. One was the ambassador, the other was the first secretary, it was the second secretary, it was the driver, it was everybody. It was everything. But they're supporting us. Two people. I said, maybe you went to the wrong address. He said, no, that was the Cuban embassy. The flag was flying, you know? Then a year or two later, my father went to the Vietnam embassy, and he found a similar situation. Two staff, and embassy was running. I never thought about it. I was young. I never thought about it. And I got on with my life. We continued the revolution. We overthrew Idi Amin. Our brothers in Zimbabwe got independence. Mozambique got independence. Even the South Africans got independence. We can see my sister here. She's independent now. Then many years later, I'm sitting in cabinet of Uganda, and the president says, our embassies live in luxury, absolute luxury, okay? Why do we have 7 ambassadors, 8 ambassadors in these embassies? We are going the Cuban style, we're going the Vietnam style. And everybody said, what is the Vietnam style? And what was the Cuban style? And ting, a bell rang in my head. I remembered what my father told me. That they only two staff. So, all future embassies were now going to start the Cuban style. At least
It's not easy.
at least we'll reach out further and more rather than not reaching at all. So the president has given a directive in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs that we should now go on the Cuban style. So when you come to our missions in other countries and you find 2 people, you'll know where it came from. You know. But the Cubans played a very pivotal role in the freedom of South Africa. Some of you might have known this, but it's something you should go and study and remember from here. What role did Cuba finally play in the freedom of Southern Africa? The Cubans were in Angola, fighting side by side. Cuban youth, young youth, fighting side by Southern African revolutionary guerrillas, ANC, fighting side by side through Namibia for the freedom of South Africa. Side by side. Eventually, when too much pressure, the apartheid government had too much pressure, it was finally negotiated. The final negotiation was that the Cubans, in order for Namibia to get independence, the Cubans should leave what? Angola. And the ANC should also leave what? Angola. So you can see how much role they played. If they had not been there in Namibia, in Angola, but to assert that pressure on the arrogant, these arrogant apartheid people, okay, today we'll still be struggling. But these people lost hundreds of thousands of the young people. But they said, no problem. If that is the price we have to pay, and this Southern Africa get independence, we'll do it. And it was agreed, and the Cubans left to go back home. Then what do the ANC? Then President Museveni said, let the ANC come as many as possible. They can come to Uganda, and they came to Uganda, and they gave them a place where somewhere in Uganda, Kaweta, I think. Is that the place? Kaweta. That is how, what role, and that's why these people are so important to us. So when I sometimes talk to these diplomats, sometimes Western diplomats do not understand us because they don't understand where we come from when we take some decisions which are of personal but historical to us. That after colonizing us for all these years, you should know us better. But they don't seem to understand us yet. Understand the Africans better, understand where they come from. Because one thing about Africans is, I don't know what it is, but they don't forget their friends. They don't forget people who helped them. They don't forget people who assisted them. They will never forget the people who are there for them. And they know those people who stood for them in their times of need, and they will never forget those people. And I tell them openly, it's not a secret, because I tell every single ambassador comes, I tell them this. And I can be quoted. I'm to be sanctioned, but so be it, it doesn't matter. I've told the truth about it. We don't forget. Those are sisters, those are supporters, and those who stood by us. We would not... why do you think we don't forget God? Why do we pray a lot? Because we know, that is through faith. It's through faith to God. That's why our children, our communities still have some sanity. That's why we can still have order in our communities. We can have the control on our young ones, and our young ones have something to believe and hold on. And that's why, if you see the level of activity, I always wonder, why don't average young person inject themselves with drugs or sniffing drugs and jump into this? It's because of the beliefs that we inculcate in them. But I want to thank the Cubans. I want to sincerely thank you to the Cubans for what they've not done, not for what they've done for Uganda. I could stand here and tell you many things they've done for Uganda, but also I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for what they've done for our people. I'm sincere and honest in this, and I want it to be recorded in history that I said this. Thank you very much.
Chicken at home.